To be honest, this video was meant to be a bronze to silver because that's where I started out with. And in my last video it was bronze, but since then I hit gold. I guess this is going to be my experience going from bronze to gold. When the new season came out, I was really excited to jump into the new scenarios and see where I stand. But after trying out a few of them, I was way worse than when I started. It felt terrible because I had just started aim training a few weeks prior and hadn't really experienced any dips in my performance yet. But with the new season, it seemed like everything was 10 times harder. There were new categories, which also just made it feel more overwhelming. And for a while, I kind of just quit out of fear of failure, which is partly the reason why I started this channel. I wanted a long-term commitment to getting better at aim training and seeing the results in-game and documenting my experience. My end goal for this year is to reach platinum in the benchmarks, but I started barely in bronze when the season first started. It was a little disappointing to see my skills fall off so much and not really see any progress over the next few days. But once I realized my mistakes I made, it made this process feel a lot more rewarding. And I know I'm not high ranked by any means, but overcoming these small challenges has felt great. And this keeps me motivated to keep going and pushing my scores higher, and eager to learn more about aim training. So here are a few changes I made in my own experience clawing my way out of bronze to silver and then I guess to gold. So my first big mistake, and one that I feel that really held me back, was my sensitivity being way too high. I had just started a new game and it was more tracking focused. And I heard somewhere online, probably Reddit or something like that you should use a higher sense when aim training to help you control your aim even more in game when it's slower. In my head this made sense, so I followed that advice. I also stupidly had my horizontal and vertical sense different by mistake, and it felt super hard to control. Also, my FOV was off, so the targets looked super small. In my last video, you can see I was still making progress and pushing my scores, but honestly, after that video, I hit a hard plateau. I was either right at or just slightly below my best scores consistently for a while. It was only when watching other people aim train, like Matteo, that I noticed that their sense was a lot lower. They used more of their shoulder and forearm to aim rather than just their wrist. Because my sense was so high, I mainly used my wrist and fingertips to flick and micro adjust, which is kind of hard to control and a little bit uncomfortable. It made my lines very shaken and inconsistent, especially with micro adjustments. I would just barely miss a target every other shot, but when I switched to a lower sense, it felt more natural to use my arm rather than just my wrist. Since I used my wrist so much, I was still comfortable making micro corrections with my wrist because I had a lot more control. So overall, it helped me use my whole arm rather than just one part of my arm. I think it helped me push my scores even higher. I was able to make straighter flicks and correct easier rather than just shoot right next to the target, which was also another problem I didn't realize was an issue until I watched Matteo's video on fluidity. I had a really bad habit of getting into a metronome, of clicking on a beat even when I wasn't close to a target or just almost there. This made my scores, especially on static, a lot worse because accuracy is really important. Still, even now I struggle with it on some scenarios, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. I changed my crosshair to be much bigger so I don't have such a hard time timing my shots. It used to be much smaller and I would have to look and time my shots when it first got into a target. But now I made it the size of the target so I can just overlap them and click, which is much easier than having to time it manually and sometimes miss. I changed this around from other scenarios like tracking, so I make the crosshair smaller so I can see better and track it. Since I made these changes, my scores went from iron to bronze and now to silver, but overall my rank is gold. So now my next big goal is to reach plat. I'll be sure to document as much as I can and keep you updated on my progress. I might make this into a weekly series until I reach a certain rank, or choose to do something else with this channel. I'm not too sure yet. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see next, or if you have any advice or any tips that you'd like to give me. I'm very open to any type of help. But anyways, thank you for sticking around to the end. While you're here, you might as well subscribe to see the rest of my journey. But for real, I really do appreciate all of you. Anyways, have a blessed day. Goodbye.